Okay, so now we're ready to jump into Unity. I just want to let you know that this is the graphics card I'm using. I use the GeForce GTX 1080. I'm using the Founders Edition, but anyway, this is a pretty fast card. It's one of the top of the line cards, and I'll be kind of running at max because I want to be able to generate real-time animations with it. So just want to start there. So let's jump into Unity. As you recall, we've already opened up a project, and I am going to create a new scene. And what I want to do is I've already got a funhouse scene over here that I've already imported, but I'm going to start from scratch here. So go to the assets folder, create a new folder, import new asset. Actually, no, I want to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this one FH2, Funhouse 2, open that, and then say import new asset. And I'll grab the let's go get the original one. This is it, Funhouse 2015. And now when I click on this and go to my inspector, I'll see that it's set up as a unit of conversion 1 meter. Well, remember we were in feet, so we worked in feet. Let's set that right, and then let's also say let's generate a light map for this, and we hit apply, and now we're good. Now I think we have to generate a light map. I don't think the lighting is as good if you don't do that. So I pretty much make a habit to do that. I can always tweak that later, and I'll show you that in a second. So let's go to my I'm in shaded modes here. If you remember, tracking system here. I'll drag this in. I'll go and I'll first thing just make it. I'll zero it out. Okay, and I'm gonna basically turn on my gizmos. I'm gonna go selection wire. So now when I click on things, they'll just turn to wire. I'm not gonna get that big orange outline. So there it is. Hit the F key. I'm centered here. Move it around, and I can start tracking. So you can see there we are. So we got got nothing right here. So let's look at our some of the project settings. So first we'll go down to the player settings. We need to make sure that this all looks good, but go to other settings. Make sure this is set to linear, not gamma. It defaults to gamma, so make sure it's set to linear. That's important. Then let's go to quality settings, and we want to set anti-aliasing to the top one if we can. Texture quality full, everything else, but that's the one that might be different right there for you. So we'll set that. We want to make sure we're set at fantastic. And then finally, there's also the graphics settings, which I think this all is pretty good at the default settings. So let's go into our directional light. I'm going to move that up underneath the camera because I just like to have them that way. They're close together that way. I'm going to rotate my scene, and I want the light to come through this window here, and I'll just start moving my using my cursor on the Y, moving it to the right, and then on the X to extend it longer. So something like that's good. I'll just get a little something like that. Also, while I'm in my lighting, I want to use high resolution settings. I'm going to change the color to white. I want to set it static up here, and then everything else is looks pretty good. Let's go to our camera settings. Our camera settings, I'm going to change the skybox to a solid color. I'm going to choose that to white. I'm going to go into this area, HDR, turn that on. Under rendering path, I need to say deferred. So, zoom in a little bit. Okay, and then we go from here. We're going to go into here's all of our objects, and we need to set those as static. Let's change the children. You change all the children on that. So now we're starting to get a rendering. It's kind of blown out a little bit, you can see, but we're going to keep working on it. We'll go to the lighting, and we go to scene for lighting, And we're going to say our ambient source is going to be, well, skybox is fine. Ambient GI is, our ambient intensity is 0. Ambient GI is baked. Reflection intensity is 0. Okay, keep moving down. Baked GI, I'm going to put this to 10 for now because we're going to be, it'll render faster. Turn on ambient occlusion, turn off compressed. These numbers are good. Turn on fennel gather. Double the atlas size. Go into general GI and set this to high resolution. Okay, now you can start to see we're starting to get some of our rendering in here. Okay, now we're going to go in here and we're going to create an actual we need to create a light probe. So I'm going to go into game object, 3D object, light reflection probe. We'll put a reflection probe which sits right here in the middle. Go to the inspector of that. We're going to make him a cube map. That's good. We're going to show you what that does later. Then we're going to go into our Funhouse 2 assets, our materials, and here's this material. I'm going to call this basic white. Okay, and I'll talk about that reflection probe here in a second. But I need to adjust this just a little bit down because there's no perfect white, as we all know. So I'm going to pull it down to something like this. Okay, so now let's go ahead. I'm not going to mess with this reflection probe too much, but right now I'm going to first set up a floor texture. So I'm going to go in here and say, actually I just take this basic white and notice that it's got a dark color and the smoothness, which is the shininess of it. So notice that picture. See how it gets all the way up to somewhere around there. So look how specular that is. But I don't want that. I want it to be probably somewhere down here. And then I can just take this and Command D it, which duplicates it. And I'm going to call this one wood floor. Okay. And then I'm going to come over here and say import new asset. And I'll go over, once I do that, I need to go into wood floor here. And I'm going to edit this and drag this over to the albedo, which is the color, right? So, and now I just drag this onto here. Now, watch what happens when I drag this on here. Boom. Colors all change because we have, because we got, the lights. But notice I don't get any wood floor. There's nothing I can do at this point to get that wood floor. So it means I need to really go back to my SketchUp model. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to go back to my FH2. There's my model. Click on it and say open it right here. That's fine. So I'm going to say OK. Then I'm going to go out and double click this. Actually, let's do this. Let's say edit or view. Sorry, component edit, hide rest of model. Okay. So we'll double click this, and then let's go to my materials, and let's grab the wood material, and I'll just take this, I guess, parquet. So we'll drag it, and which is nice. Then now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and edit this material. There it is, wood floor. Open that up, and I'm gonna find that same exact material that we were just looking at. There. Okay. Let's zoom in. It's looks like it's a little big, so let's make it, instead of 10, let's make this 12. Yeah. 16. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. Done with that. Done with that. Save. Go back in here and do a file. Save as 15. There it is. Save. Yes. There we go. Now let's see if it'll come back. Okay, now boom, there we go. So you can see now we have the wooden floor there. If I go to my materials, you'll see that there's the wood floor. No, that's the old wood floor, so let's delete that one. That's right. Let's see if I can put this on here. Okay, so that's the new one, and I'm going to go ahead and rename it. Okay, and then let's go ahead. I'm going to take the smoothness on this floor. Well, the albedo is like, just drop the color a little bit down. It does affect it. Look, I mean, you can see that. If I want to add red to it, whatever, you can do that. So I can use that to actually darken it. So, or if I leave it up to the white, it's the natural color it is. So I'm going to basically make this very shiny. I want it to be like extremely shiny. How do we know? Well, let's go here and look. So you can start to see, you can kind of see the shine as it goes across there. The reason for that is I've got this reflection probe in. Now if I turn that off, you'll see that even though it's shiny, it doesn't really, unless you get, you don't see anything in it, or the shininess doesn't show up. You've got to put that reflection probe on. So let's do that. We're going to turn that on, and the reflections are not lining up. Okay, so that means I can pull it up anytime. Okay, so let's move that out, and we're going to go into the wireframe. Actually, this might actually be good to do this. Now I think about it, and I'm going to click on the probe here, and notice how big it is. So I need to change that. So over here is where we center it. Let's turn this off. Boom, boom. Okay, so choose the probe right there, and I want to center it. I think it's probably centered pretty close to where I want it. I want to move it just a little bit like that. Then I click on, actually, I probably want to go up one more too. Yeah, so move it up a little higher. Then I click on this little button over here, and this allows me to move it out. So I want to get it, I'm going to put it so that it's right inside those walls, the actual area that it's being influenced on. And I'm going to actually stick it back about a third of the way into this corridor. And let's go up, and let's, same thing here, here, here. So that's our reflection. That's one. Okay. Now I hit the Command D button. I've got a second one, and I'll move that one back here. And actually, I'm going to move him right in the middle, or towards the middle of this one. Again, I click on this, and I'm going to move this back like so. So, kind of overlaps a little bit. You can see these reflection modes. Remember, they're all set. If you look at the inspector for these probes, they're set at HDR and they're at box projections. So I'm going to move this. Okay, turn perspective on, and the tracking. Let's go to 1. There's our view. We've got our reflection probe set up. You can see that. Start tracking. Everything's kind of reflecting kind of nicely. Now the next thing we need to do is I'm going to add a special kind of shader to the camera that allows it to do reflections correctly. So let's go in here. So screen space reflections, this is it right here. It came with that package we downloaded. So I'm going to click on that. And now when we look at our, start rotating, oops, let's hit my F there. Now look, all the reflections are lining up really nicely. So that worked out really well, right? Okay, we're still not done with the quality of our rendering here, but we're getting to there. So let me create a new material. We'll call this chrome. Again, we go back into our we always leave it standard. This is the standard metal PBR rendering. There's speculators right below it. And I will set this to be metallic. Or I'm sorry, metallic at 100%. Typically, metallic is 0 or 1 on these things. So let's drag this onto our character. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Oh, wrong place. Right over here. There we go. So you can start to see now that he's kind of chromed out, but he looks satin. That's because he's too smooth. So let's bring him all the way up. Reflection. Let's just back it off just a tab right there. There we go. So now you start to see our guy being reflected. Let's take this this color here, and I'm going to call this one. So that was basic white. This is shiny white. Okay, and I'm going to take that and punch it up. Look down here. You see it's got the sparkly light on it. Not too high, but right about there looks pretty good. And actually, let's make it shiny red. Okay, and we'll come up here in the albedo, and we'll in the back, since we have a nice reflection right there. Look at that. Look what happens. We have everything's chrome. Okay, but we want that to be to be chrome. Okay. Okay, so we're starting to get. So now, if you look at this, we've got a pretty nice. This is really fast. Pretty nice setup. In fact, if I go into my camera and let's add another component. Let's add tone mapping, and let's look at the. Let's set it to ASIS and turn it on, and you can see that it just just jacked our colors quite a bit. Jack up the exposure a little bit. When I do this, you start to see that we've got we've got some rendering artifacts. We don't have it perfectly yet. We're getting. It's not bad. I can help that out by I can jack this up to 40. Which will help it out a little bit, but actually this number up here is the one that's used. This is the real time. In fact, if I go over here to the irradiance, you'll see there's not much in the way of big, irradiance being calculated that's not on the fly, right? So this is showing you there's not a whole lot that this pre-computed real time renders do. Now, let's go back to 10 here, and let's go ahead and turn this off. Okay, now it's going to, down here's our little thing, so we'll see what, so now you can see that we've got a very kind of a blocky, not a good look here for this. So let's, first of all, what I want to do is see how unfortunate all this is. So I'm going to first click on this object. Sorry, let's go back to that. Here we go. Okay, I'll click on this, and I go to the inspector, and I'm going to go to the lighting tab and hit the object button, and I'm going to basically do a few things. One is I'm going to preserve the UVs on this product. Now it's down here, we're re-rendering it, but I'm preserving the UVs on this, and that'll get rid of a lot of the smoothing errors that you saw there. So if you're ever seeing smoothing errors, make sure you remember to go back and preserve the UVs. That's going to be important. I can also set this up to be important GI, but notice how much better that is starting to look. But we still have a little too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually jack up the light map. Also, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select every single one of these objects, and I'm going to jack the light map up to 2, and set them to be important for global illumination, and preserve the UVs in every one of those. So now let's let it go ahead and render out, and we'll take a peek at it. Okay, so that's kind of a brute force way, but you can see that it looks pretty good. It's just a little too dark, right? We've got too much GI going on in that. So couple ways to deal with this, and really the problem is that when you start to adjust that color, if I adjust this baked resolution back to the 40, I'll show you what it does. So that took a couple minutes, and now you can see that what it does is it smooths it out, but it's still awfully dark around the edges. So typically how I work that out is I'm going to go down to something like 2, and it'll render out pretty instantaneously. And I'm going to start adjusting this to see if I can't get it. First, let's go into the main camera, and I want to turn off the tone mapping. So it doesn't exaggerate it quite so bad. And notice I've got this once I've done that, you'll see that I'm going to get some artifacting like we have over here. Then I'm going to go to my lighting tab, or to my directional light, and I'm going to basically go in here and jack this up to 1.5. And now you can see it's not quite, now it's starting to look got a little more light going in there. So now let's go ahead and now I've got this done. Let's just take a look around. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so let's see what happens. I'm going to basically, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to jack it up to this baked resolution. Actually, before I do that, let me just, I think we're pretty close. I'm going to set this up to give me a bake at, again, at 40. Okay, and now let's go to turn auto off again, and let's clear out the bake data, and then turn it back on. And now it'll build with the 40 settings. Okay, we're back. So now you can see that looks pretty good. It's still a little dark for my taste. Okay, I think I've got this kind of dialed in now to something I'm pretty happy with. Show you what the settings are there. It's still not a fully baked image in terms of the quality level, but it's the quality of the bake. But I'll show you what the settings are here. What I did is I needed the bounce color to come up a little bit. I've added 1.5 bounce intensity to the color. Then I've gone back into lighting and I made the indirect 0.5. So now we're in pretty good shape. We can basically, finish rendering this out with the right kinds of bloom and all of that. So let's just do that real quick. Let's go back to my inspector and my camera, and tone mapping is way off now. So let's punch that down a little bit, something that might be a little better. Let's see what we got. Yeah, looks pretty good. I might just, it works in any way you want. I guess I can come in and color grade it also. For instance, I want to add some blue into the shadows, and maybe some green in the highlights. Just tone that up. What I might do here is, let's see if I can add a ambient occlusion shader to this. So what that does is if you've kind of blown out the ambient occlusion modes, you can come in here and you can re-add that back in, right? So you can just a little talk. And in fact, the way you do that is with the ambient only. Oh, that's right, you can't do that in here. Well, anyway, so you say sample count is high, and this looks right. So, and let's just move that in a little bit. The intensity is here, something like that. Radius is down very low. Oops. So you get the idea of it. So you can actually add ambient occlusion back into a scene if you want to. But I think I kind of like it the way it was before. I don't know. Maybe just a tad bit, just a little bit. I think it's even too much here, so I think I'll go 0.5. Yeah, 0.5. Okay, that's better. By the way, look how nice that reflection is back here. Those light probes. See, if I turn these probes off, look what happens. See that you don't get good reflection. So you got to leave those probes on. Just that's what they do. That's what they do good work for. So, lastly, let's throw a little bloom in. Let's go in here and say add a component. Let's see. Whoops. Yeah, bloom. And what did I just do? Undo. I got blue has to go on here. There we go. And this is not the also not the one that I have, but you get the idea. If I zoom around, you'll see that we've got the default settings actually aren't bad on this. Okay, so we're going to now talk a little bit about adding some depth of field to this. And so let's take a look at, zoom all the way up. We'll get this. These three boxes: the box and our guy. Let's move the box closer, and this last box, right? So let's go ahead and add a component. We'll add depth of field, and what we want to do is visualize the focus. So blue is far away, yellow is close. So if I look at it right now, we want to basically put the focus plane. Black is where the focus plane is, right? So if I put it right here, and let's do the fall off to 0, right? So focus plane, if you see, so that right there, that's in focus right there, and you'll see that it's a little bit out of focus, but the range is what I'm looking for. So let's look at the range. The range is how deep this is going to be. So let's see what we got. So let's make the range really kind of small, and now let's move the focus plane back up to where we're close. So you can see now, if the focus plane is here, now the range needs to be even smaller. So let's make it all the way back there. And let's take the far plane. We're going to turn the fall off on that also all the way to 0. So now we can look at each one of the planes. The first plane is the near plane, and fall off is at 0, and then the blue is the last plane. So I can move those very slightly, but I use it primarily by using the range. So I'm going to go right all the way here, get that blue, and now I've got the blue and the yellows. They're all kind of set up. So now once I've done that, I can basically add some blur I can add back in some of the fall off, so you can see falls off. Actually, let's bring the range in even a little tighter. There we go. And then let's add the fall off on the far plane. There we go. And we'll add the fall off on the near plane. There we go. And we can see that really our robots in focus, and these are out of focus now. So that's kind of a nice thing. So let's just move around and see what we got. We may want to put this box in focus, the first box in focus. So to do that, we're going to want to get the black area, which is the range area. So now, I'm sorry, the range is good. We want our focus plane now to be right on top of this. Right now, let's take a look at that. So now this is in focus. So let's move around, and you can see that as we do that, different things are in focus, are coming in focus as we get closer to them. Right. So backing up here inside this hallway. So you get the idea. So anyway, that's kind of a cool thing. Once I've got this thing lit, it's pretty nice. Now, what I might do right before I finish, I'm going to do one more bake, because this bake right here is at 20. So I'm going to do a bake at 80, and I'll be back. Okay, so we're done. It was about 5 minutes. You can see it's even tighter. In fact, let's take a look at this. I'm going to drag the scene out from here, and I'm going to grab the asset store also out, put it back with the scene, and this is moved all the way into this area. So, and I can now rotate around, zoom in, zoom out. You can see that the anti-aliasing isn't that good. There's actually a good anti-aliasing plugin that we can share. Okay, I found a good anti-aliasing plugin. It actually is part of the standard assets, so you can download that. That's free from Unity. Okay, it's in the standard effects. You want to go all the way down to you collapse all these, and you go to the effects, expand that, and scroll down till you get to image effects. And really, those are what you want to import. All these image effects. There's a lot of good stuff in there. So just hit the import button. Okay, so now I'm going to go here and really let's go back to my image. Here it is. You can see that, as we said before, it's got some artifacting and some aliasing, but it's a pretty nice looking scene anyway. But so let's go ahead and add an anti-aliasing component real quick. So add component, anti-aliasing. There's two of them. This is the one that comes with it. It's not very good. This one's much better. Undo. I want to add that to the main camera. Okay, so, and I like this preset A. Seems to be the best one for me. I think that one really works pretty well. You see, we've done a pretty good job of getting it, moving around, get an idea of it. So, zoom out. Boy, that's amazing fast, isn't it? Let's click on this little thing right here and say maximize. There you go. And you kind of need to turn the gameplay off and on in order to get that set. See, it's still running at that regular resolution. So the way to do that is hit play and then hit stop. There you go. Now it should be good. There you go. So that's a pretty nice picture. Look at that. That's really nice. So anyway, I hope this has been a good tutorial. I'm working on some others, but for now, I think this is a pretty nice example of how to use, Unity to create photoreal interiors just with SketchUp. So, and I hope you like it, and we will talk to you later. Okay. Oh, by the way, last thing I'll mention is that see these little the red back in there. I think it's because these planes are right stuck on each other. I should float that out just a tad. If I do, I'll have to rebake it all. I'm not going to do it right now. But anyway, that's probably what that is. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks a lot. Bye.